Hello and welcome to the inaugural round of the British RaceRoom Championship Touring Car Challenge. We are here at Silverstone, WTCR cars, 3 races. The action here is going to come thick and fast. We've got some pro drivers, we've got a great prize courtesy of Cobra Motorsport who are back in this championship for us, so major thanks to them. My name's Lewis McGlade, alongside me my trusty colleague Cameron Roger. A bit more of an open wheel specialist yourself, but you know you're here, you're looking forward to some touring car action. We've done a little bit before, so it's all good. What are you expecting to see today?
Well, especially with this track pretty much having about 4 corners, it's going to be absolutely relentless, and the driver's going to be pushing their absolute hardest to get as many points as they can. And obviously we have the second and third race where there is a reverse grid to look out for as well, so you might see some faster guys dropping back, which always adds some more action as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. A bit different for me, as you say. Normally used to open wheel stuff, for this touring car type of racing is always good fun to watch.
Absolutely. So we're just moving. This is how quick it's going to go. Everyone watching at home. We are straight into qualifying session. This is a 10-minute session. We are here at Silverstone International. We go to Brands Indy, then wrap up the season Silverstone International, all on back-to-back weeks, all on Sunday, all at this time. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel and keep focused on the future. Of course, a 10-minute session here. It is very, very short. It is absolutely rapid action. Once this session's done, once the 10 minutes have rolled over, we go straight into race 1, which then follows the order from this. And then after that, we have 2 top 10 reverse grid races. This is going to be absolutely crazy. We've had 20 drivers that have qualified to get into split 1. We've also got some pro drivers, of course. There we have Mr. Dan Cammish, of course, done 2 seasons in the British Touring Car Championship. You can see him driving there from Brands Hatch, doing fine work at a circuit which he's won at. Of course, a few times already. Unfortunately, was runner-up in the British Touring Cars last season. But nevertheless, great to have him here, and I'm sure he'll be putting in some manic times.
And these drivers are already coming around to start their laps. Such is the short nature of this track. And then they come into a really faster Stowe corner to open up the lap. And all these drivers are getting, sort of caught up on each other, which is not going to be helping their lap times, but it's all about finding that space, and they have to get their lap time within the 10-minute session. So they've got to make sure that they get a clean lap, get it in, and see where they can start this race.
Yeah, we're currently looking at Dan Cammish, who, if you're looking at this, you think it's a private session. It is not. This is an open session, so everyone is on track at the same time. We're going to ride on board with him through Cops Corner and then down towards Maggots, where instead of obviously on the Formula 1 layout, we go straight on and carry on going through Maggots, Beggars and Chapel. This time, though, we hang right. Always missed the apex a bit there. That's not the best line, needless to say. But then onto the back straight. We're already on to the Wellington straight on the run down towards Brooklands Corner. This is where we're going to see a lot of overtaking here. You can seriously, in these cars, dive it down the inside. It's going to be pretty crazy into that corner. If I was a spectator, that's where I would be. Hold it real tight through here. You don't want to run too far wide. And then you go all the way through Luffield. See 2 apexes really at this corner. You pull it up back and line it up for a straight exit. It's a short lap, but it's going to be absolutely crazy.
And the times are so close. The top, what's that, 14 really, within half a second of each other. So there's going to be a really close race. And as you say, that run down into Brooklands is going to be where lots of the action is going to be. Got a massive straight, bit of slipstream down there, but because the corner sort of is more of like a double apex corner, there's really room in the middle of the corner to get your car down the inside, and it looks like some of the drivers are actually trying to do that on their lappers. We've got David Carter here, who's currently on the provisional pole position as the drivers now come to complete their second lap here, and then got this huge train of cars all coming down, getting some multiple moves.
Whoa, that is a good time for Matt Richards, a 58.649. That is a mighty time. That would have been good for the qualifier to get in to this when you've got loads of laps. His first or second time lap in this session bangs in a 6.49. That is 2.5 tenths clear of anyone else. Brandon Abraham up into second position. Chris Shepherd, a driver who really is one of the ones to look out for victory today, up into third position. Same with Herlock in fourth. Pretty mad start to the session, but yeah, you want to be picking up some slipstream. Of course, we've got those invited drivers. Whilst we're in the midpoint of the session, we'll just talk about some of the drivers that are here. We had those that qualified. We've had those that have been invited along. Josh Webster, Dan Cammish, of course, Robert Oldman. We've seen some connection issues from Robert Oldman in practice, and we'll keep our eye on him. But so far, so good from Robert Oldman. Of course, a driver who seems to have quite a few fans watching from home. Matt Webb was third fast in the qualifier. We had Jack Keithley and Phil Rose, who actually were busy today, so they actually couldn't join. So Matt Webb ended up was the third fastest qualified, so actually moved up into the top spot. Odd choice. Pick the Alpha, not the favoured car. That is for sure. However, he's here. He's qualified in second position at the moment. That's pretty rapid.
Yeah, so it's clearly not too slow. And obviously, the cars are fairly equal. They have certain places where they're going to be maybe a little bit quicker or a little bit slower. And obviously, top speed is a thing as well. But on such a short track, it's often the driver that can make that final difference. And he is certainly doing that at the moment, being the one to challenge Matt Richards, who is still a decent step ahead of the rest.
I think Matt Richards, that time is going to take some mighty beating. Of course, coming over to RaceRoom, this is one of the first events that he's done. Does have a teammate on the grid in the form of Dan Kell for Sancho Simsport with Silverstone Composites, which obviously is great for this circuit for them, isn't it? But nevertheless, those two running around first and eighth position at the moment. It's always good to have a rear gunner, but obviously you need Dan to go a little bit quicker than that. Cammish heading through Brooklands, improving on his time, 2/10 down in the second sector though. Still could be a decent time to move him up the order.
Yeah, he's looking pretty good coming out of this final corner. Luffield, he has a car just ahead of him, so he might get a little bit of slipstream. Well, actually, they're moving out of the way, so he's going to have to do it all himself, keep his foot absolutely planted easily through Woodcote Corner, and then we can see where he can get himself as he comes across the line. He's going to jump up only to 17th place at the moment.
It's tight. It is super tight. You need to be relentless with how you're doing it. Of course, getting a track cut is pretty easy. In this, you just run wide at turn one. I've got a list of all the people that have had track cuts in this session. There are quite a few, it must be said. Rich Miles has already picked up 4 across the run of this session. It's people like Cammish, Matt Richards, Jacob Reed, Matt Webb. These guys haven't got one yet. Here comes Josh Webster up to 14th position. Pretty nice. Was runner-up in the Porsche Carrera Cup GB last year was Josh Webster. Also done some in Porsche Super Cup, a couple of seasons or a season in that over his career. Not he emailed me earlier. Not exactly a comfortable driver in a front-wheel drive, but said he's going to come along and give it a go.
Yeah, they are different, aren't they, these front-wheel drive cars? And for someone who's maybe not quite so used to it, it is a little bit strange, a little bit weird. And that is why you often get some drivers who are absolutely amazing in touring cars, because it is a completely different way of driving, because obviously the front wheels are doing the acceleration and the turning, so you've got to be careful with how you get on the accelerators. Chris Shepherd does a purple sector 3 to go up to 4th position in the Audi there.
Richards is back on circuit in his Lincoln Co. That is a good time from Chris Shepherd. He was one of the high qualifiers. I'm sure his good friend, a trusty friend, Jeff Fournier is probably watching. Those two have been teamed up a lot. He's not allowed to take partners because obviously he's French. But nevertheless, good friends. Those two have gone through a lot in sim racing together. So it's nice to see Chris sort of here by himself. Going to pick up a little bit of a toe on the back straight, improving in the first sector. What's he going to do over the second? Improving again, but he's got that traffic and has run wide at Brooklands. I don't think this is going to be an improvement on time. So it is still Matt Richards on that 649, heading Matt Webb on a 777. Who was that? Dan Herlock moves up into second position. Nice time.
Yeah, not too bad from him as well. So they're getting closer, but Matt Richards has still got that little jumps. As you say, that time is probably looking pretty good for him. But look at the times behind. They're all within pretty much a 1/10 of a second for the next like 5 or 6 drivers. So that is just how close it can be. As we're looking at Rob Cross, who's getting his slipstream from another Lincoln Co. down this Wellington Straight as they come towards Brooklands.
It's Matt Richards ahead of him as well.
What's he going to do in sector 2? Oh, no, it didn't seem to be green, so I don't think he's actually improving on this occasion.
No, it's Dan Cammish ahead of him. Apologies, Dan Cammish. They're both in the 111, so it doesn't throw me off at all.
They need to starting their final laps as well, as we only got just over a minute left of the session. The drivers will have to get their lap times in before that hits 0.
Reminder to those of you who are jumping in for the first time to watching a RaceRoom broadcast, once that timer hits 0, like you say, we move straight into the race. There is no waiting for people to finish their laps. Once we hit 0, the session is done, and that is it. That time might have gone for Dan Cammish there at Copse Corner. His on Jacob Reed was up late last night, I think. If it's the guy that I'm thinking of, was doing an IndyCar race. Ended up in 2nd position in that, if I remember correctly, an Indy 250. Comes across the line in a slightly different vehicle and goes to 20th place. So an improvement on position, just not very far. Not long to go in this session. Who's going to be improving? Who can move themselves up the order? Any tiny gap that you can find is going to be good. Rob Cross, currently in 4th position, finding time in the first, finding time in the 2nd sector. If he improves by 1/100th of a second, he will move up 2 places. It is tight. Let's see what he can do. Got the slipstream as well. Picking it up. Where is he going to move in that 4th position? I think pole might just be a touch out of reach. Is he going to move up into 2nd though? No. No, he does not. Here's Matt Richards. Gone.
I was just going to say, we haven't got half a second covering pretty much the whole field, so that is just how close it has been here at Silverstone as we got on board here the qualifying results. And you can see it's literally thousandths between all of these drivers, but it was Matt Richardson, Dan Herlock, Matt Webb and Rob Cross, your top 4.
Well, this is it then. 60 seconds for everyone to get onto the grid before we start a 20-minute race. This is going to be mad. There's Dan Cammish getting ready to go from his starting position. This is going to be a crazy one. Now, Matt Richards, Dan Herlock, for those of you that don't know, these two have got racing history. They have raced with each other quite a bit over the last 2 or 3 years in touring car racing on a different sim. But nevertheless, they've done it in league racing across the board. Maybe not so much friends, but they know how each other race. It's going to be interesting.
It's always good when you see some rivalries happen. You always there's always that one driver that you just always have a bit of a thing with, as the drivers now get to calm themselves down, hopefully.
Oh, here we go then. First round of the British RaceRoom Championship Touring Car Challenge, brought to you by Cobra Motorsports. The first race of the season about to get underway. Matt Richards for Zanshow Simsport going to lead us away from pole position. He's got a brand new Fanatec DD1, so hopefully we'll get a good launch with that. At the moment, Dan Herlock is definitely there heading into turn 1. They're definitely side by side, but I think Matt Richards is going to take the lead and hold it. Matt Webb in that Alpha, staring in the background, trying to figure out which way round he can go and if he can find up any position. Dan Herlock is going to currently sit in that 2nd position. In the background, we've got Rob Cross, Richardson as well, just trying to figure his way around. They're going side by side down at the bottom end. It's a bit of a mistake though for Matt Richards. Contact between the two. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Rob Cross, he's taken advantage of all of that mistake. He's going to move himself up in a 2nd position coming up towards Brooklands. This is pack racing at its finest. Coming down to Brooklands corner. Who is going to lead? It looks like it's going to be Matt Richards. It's still going to be Herlock holding firm on the inside. And Herlock is going to take that 2nd position. Looking back down the inside, Rob Cross is still there in that blue Lincoln Co. And I think it may well be a Lincoln Co. 1-2 before we hit Copse Corner. That was absolute madness. Herlock hangs on.
Yeah, and Matt Webb actually got sent out to dry coming out onto the Wellington Straight as well, so he dropped down quite a few positions from what I could see. So yeah, all these drivers are pushing absolute to the limit. They've only got 20 minutes to get their position, and they know that they need to get as many points as possible while also staying within that top 10 so they don't, or so that they can potentially gain grid position for the next race as well. If you're down in sort of 8th position, that could be good for you. As we got, Matt Webb going wide again, 2 laps in a row, so he's going to lose a few more places here as we head on to the Wellington Straight for the 2nd time.
Well, here's Cammish. We got onboard and onboard. This is onboard with Josh Webster directly behind Dan Cammish, so the 2 real world drivers going to be going at it. We'll see if Webster can figure his way around. You can see some of that happening up ahead as well. This is absolute madness. Dan Cammish should be pretty good in this kind of scenario. He's been feisty across his British touring car career. There's someone going wide in the foreground. I think it was David Carter from that 10th position. I think he's just dropped down now into 12th. Dan Kell now in that 11th position. These two might actually work together. They've raced with each other a couple of times before, I think, of Carter and Kell. Still Matt Richards, though, leading at the front. Look at this. Absolutely beautiful.
All the cars, going through one by one. Oh, actually, we've got 2 wide situation there for 13th and 14th position as they now come down into to Maggots, who's going to get the run. Looks like Dixon, although he's going to be on the outside, so he might run a little bit wide, which could make the opportunity for the Hyundai to come back on the inside, have a shorter run. as they still go side by side after a few hundred meters, and now
I think
he pulls in.
In the background, we've got Webster and Cammish. I think they were pretty close to swapping positions, but not quite yet. Heading down towards Brooklyn's corner again. Bo Dixon's going to hold 13th position, but he's run wide. Oh, it's going to open him up, but I think he should be able to hang on. He's got that short run through Luffield. Bo Dixon's one that I, without being too harsh on the lad, I would have expected a bit more from him. Of course, he's had fair experience in RaceRoom. I would argue has had the most experience on the grid in top tier RaceRoom competition. Of course, took part in various rounds of the Cooper Sim Racing Series in Division 1. I remember him impressing back in Spa across his campaign there, but now in 13th, maybe not ideal. Here's Dan Cammish.
Yeah, he's coming, isn't he? He was looking really good coming out that final corner. Couldn't quite make it into Stowe. But the good thing with the short lap is that it's just corner after corner, and before you know it, you're already back onto this Wellington straight, which, as we've said, is probably the best overtaking. Although just a couple of moves in the background. Yeah,
that was James JJ Ross going down the inside of Josh Webster. I'm assuming we should just call him JJ with James Ross. Here's Matt Webb, dropped down to 8th position now as he's relinquished a position to Brandon Abraham. And here we are, race leader Matt Richards, after only 4 minutes just hanging on, has absolutely nothing over Dan Hurlock. Two drivers, like I said, they've got history in touring cars, not so much in much else, but they've raced with each other a lot. It is brilliant to see two drivers of this caliber going toe-to-toe at the top end of our first ever round of the British RaceRoom Championship.
And it's not even just those two, there's just so many cars behind them all there. If one of these drivers makes a mistake, they're potentially going to lose 2 or 3 positions. As now Rob Cross coming really close, and we're actually trying to go side by side as we come through Maggot's corner onto Wellington Straight, trying to get a better run, and he's trying to get his nose down the inside as well.
Webb's wide. Matt Webb's run wide. He's going to relinquish a couple of positions now down into 10th position. That may cost him as well because he's going to drop outside of the top 10. If Dan Kell is going to get a bit of a push from David Carter as well. Carter now moves back up the inside. He's going to try and slot his position past Dan Kell. Nearly 3 wide. Matt Webb hangs on to 10th. Dan Kell staring at it for a reverse grid pole, but it's already going to be there. As who's run wide? That was Miles, I think, who's just dropped off miles wide at the circuit and dropped back a couple of positions. Now down in 12th. Bo Dixon here. Cooper, just behind him, Dan Cammish. It's so good to see those shots in location.
And he's actually pulling away a bit there on the straight, so maybe that car's a little bit more top speed, or maybe it's got a good corner X out of the final corner as Cammish went really tight there on the inside of turn number 1. He's basically touching him coming down into Mag's corner, and he's actually trying to think about it. He's trying to think about it, but not quite on this occasion. Yeah, he's just going for every single gap he can possibly get to try and get the tiniest bit of advantage coming down this back straight.
Miles was also trying to go around the outside of David Carter there for 11th position just ahead of this. Is Cammish going to try and look down the inside of Dixon, picks it to the outside, going to try and break late and hang it round. He's there. Oh, he's there, but I think he's going to get shuffled off the circuit. You don't really want to be doing that too much because off tracks in this do me. Oh, he's through there. 13th position. That was bold. Good work. Up to 13th now for Dan Cammish. JJ's also going to take a bunch of that. Dixon's now going to move down into 15th place. Oh, this action is rather juicy here. There we go. JJ holds that position. Nice work. Bo Dixon down to 15th. Ooh.
Yeah, it's dropped quite a few positions, but then that's just what happens. If you make the tiniest mistake, and if one person gets past you, then there's going to be quite a few more waiting to come through as well, as he's now going side by side. And he's now down to 16th place, actually. Someone else got past him.
Foyle,
yeah.
I think Foyle's one of the drivers who's streaming this. I think one of the Miles are as well. They're streaming it from their own thing. But
Walker now having a look at Bo Dixon down on the inside of Brooklands as well. They're going to be side by side, which means he'll have
Dixon's going to hang on here, surely. Surely he's going to hang on here. This would have to be a monstrous move from Walker. If he can hang it there to the outside of Luffield, this could be gold, and he is still there. Is he going to carry the momentum off the corner? A bit of slipstream heads his way from the car ahead from Foyle, but it's just not going to be enough. Bo Dixon's got the inside for Cops, and this surely is 16th place for Bo Dixon. So important to hang on to as many positions as you can. Of course, it sets the starting order for that second race. Back up to the race lead. Matt Richards still leading Dan Hurlock, who is now starting to assert his authority on trying to make this move stick, sticking it around the outside of Maggot's. Oh, is it close? Is it going to do it? I think it is. Dan Hurlock should be moving up to the race lead here. I think Rob Cross as well going to take advantage of this. Matt Richards on the outside. Dan Herlock on the inside, that Hyundai who's going to just up ahead. Matt Richards going to try and stick it round the outside of Brooklyn's corner, going to get shuffled off the circuit, might pick up a slowdown for that if he's not careful. Still down the inside of Luffield. Oh, it is getting dicey between this lot. We're not even halfway through this race yet. Matt Richards hangs on.
And they've still got 4th and 5th position of Miles and Shepherd coming right behind them as well. So if they're not careful, they're going to lose a couple of positions. You can see he's always touched his rear bumper as they come into turn number 1 as Matt Richards is on the inside. But Herlock's going to go all the way around the outside. And he's actually lost a bit on the curb there, unfortunately. But this could let Rob Cross come down the inside to Maggot's corner. We'll have to see what they can do on the brakes. Yes, he's made that stick as well. So Herlock now down into 3rd place. Now Miles
could be
trying to
bad.
get involved as well. So this is just what happens if you make one tiny mistake. He's potentially losing 2 positions here.
Yeah, that one is Rich Miles. Of course, we've got 2 Miles on the calendar, on the grid rather. Rich Miles and Daniel Miles. Don't think there's any relation between the two, but nevertheless, they are currently running in 4th and 11th position. If you cared. At the moment, Herlock then hangs on. That could have been tears. That could have been absolute tears. Here's Alex Everett. Bottom end of the top 10. David Carter directly behind. We've had some shuffling happening. Sorry, Dan Kell. Sorry, David Carter's a couple more positions behind us. Apologies. Daniel Kell then is in that Lincoln Co, that number 101. But as I say, from this point, if they finish the race in these positions, they reverse their way up the order. Dan Cammish there. I think he was the one that went off in the background at Copse Corner on the previous lap. I definitely saw one of the Lincoln Co's.
There's quite a few out there. It's good to see quite a good split of the manufacturers though, to keep it a bit more, a bit more variety. And there's, as we said earlier, it still seems to be that the drivers are making the difference here as the racing is just so close. As we are almost coming to the end of the first 10 minutes, the first half of this first race.
Yeah, it has been a manic 10 minutes, and the thing is this is going to be the same all across the hour. You've got Cammish Cam there on the right-hand side. Currently,
Miles
we're looking at the
back.
Yeah, Miles who's trying to get past Herlock, going to stick it around the outside of Luffield. Always going to get muscled by Chris Shepherd's down the inside as well for Audi, and I think that might be Shepherd up in a 4th position. Miles with an ambitious move, not quite working out there, and there we go. It is advantage Shepherd, and he is one that you really need to keep an eye on. Shepherd has had a lot of experience in touring car races, in GTs, etc. Looking down the inside as well goes Brandon Abraham, trying to find his way by on Rich Miles. Not quite there. Glenn Richardson, the Honda, just hanging on to the top 6 here.
And this battling has let the top 2 get just a little bit ahead, about a second or so between Cross and Herlock. Now Cross is getting right at the back of Matt Richards as well. So coming down this straight, well, we're looking at Rich Miles, who's coming all on the back of Chris Shepherd as well. Now we jump to the leaders. Rob Cross is going to try and go round the outside of Brooklyn. It's not always the best place. He's actually going for a cutback here to see if he can then get a position for the final corner, though he's probably going to have to cut back for a second time in a row to try and get his nose up the inside, but it hasn't quite worked on this occasion. Matt Richards is doing a pretty good defence here.
He's a wily old fox, is Matt Richards, as he drives for Drake, and whilst he was driving for Drake Racing, he doesn't actually do it anymore. He hasn't changed his name on the so I'll shout at him afterwards, don't worry. Has won multiple championships in touring cars elsewhere in sim racing, has a lot of experience on this style of racing, the constant pressure, constant racing. You don't have time to breathe in this. You need to be fully focused, and for this is going to cause problems when it comes down towards that final race, that 3rd race, because concentrating on racing for this long, it is exhausting mentally. It is absolutely exhausting. Whilst this is happening, the top 7 were pulling away from everyone else, but as you can see, Matt Webb has closed right up at the back of Richardson as well in that 7th position whilst we're focusing on Rich Miles. There he is, Matt Webb. He has closed back in, has dragged the other guys with him, and we are back to having a big old pack for this 3rd place.
Yeah, they just start fighting, the gaps spread out, and then if the front runners start fighting again, then it all bunches them back up. So that's just the yo-yo effect of what is happening in these pack racing, as we're seeing Robert Oldman there, who has dropped down 23rd position off the back, so he must have had a bit of a spin or something. And talking about spins, it's actually quite good. We've had over 12 minutes now, and there hasn't been any sort of big major crashes, even though they're driving on the absolute limit, which just shows you the level of the racing that we're seeing.
Yeah, this is, of course, for everyone watching at home, you can actually take part, by the way. The qualifying session for Brands Indy is open. You can get on the server, free entry, come and take part, come and give it a go. These setups are fixed. But one thing I will note is these cars may look pretty easy to drive because, you know, these guys have done their practice, have done their homework, of course, are well experienced in this kind of thing. Believe me, these cars are not easy to drive. They are so hard to get onto the limit because the rear end, it's so slippery, it's so all over the place. It's such a hard balancing act to keep a car like this on the road. These are proper race cars and they are on their limit. JJ, 12th position at the moment. We've got the other Miles on the inside. That one's Daniel Miles. Didn't make that position, so 12th goes the way of JJ, moving his way up the order. Maybe staring at the back of a potential reverse grid pole.
And that is really what you want to do, because if you're 11th, you're 11th. But if you're 10th, then you go to first place, which gives you a really good opportunity to get good points in the second race here. So that is really one place to look out for. Sometimes the fight for 10th, 11th is actually more fierce than the race lead, because you know the benefit that you can get from it. As now Ben Walker is getting a pretty good exit coming onto this Wellington straight as well, here in 17th position at the moment. He's got a foil just in front of him. It looks like he doesn't quite have the top speed on this occasion to make anything work.
No, it's obviously all of the cars we have here are ever so slightly different. They have certain advantages and disadvantages. Some are fast on the slow speed, some are fast on the straights. The Lincoln Co, I believe, is one of the ones that's pretty quick on the straights and on the fast bits. It is so good though to see a large selection of cars. I will note this as a person who went through all of it. Everyone got their first choice of cars. This is not like the admins coming in and being like, no, you have to drive in this, you have to drive in that. They've all been very, very good. They've all picked cars all over the place. Matt Webb, shout out to you, good sir, for taking that Alpha. I know Rob, who's doing the cameras for us at the moment. He'll be well happy because I know he loves that Alpha. It's good to see it represented.
It's always good to see a quirky car. As we have, I think we're about for the leaders. Rob Cross is trying to go on the outside again. He pulled out of that slipstream a couple hundred meters ago. Once again, Matt Richards is doing such a good job here. But as you said earlier, the mental strain is something that you don't often talk about in sim racing, and especially with these races that are so intense. You know, if you make a mistake, you're going to be overtaken by 4 or 5 people. It really is going to be a tiring act, especially when we get to the third race, and they'll be racing for about an hour in total.
Yeah, it's. I mean, Matt Richards has had his fair share of experience of touring cars, open wheelers, endurance racing, whatever. So I'm pretty sure he's all right with it. But I'm sorry, but my Logitech G27 is not enough to make me sweat in the race from physical work. But my goodness me, the amount you have to think in this, that is enough. Matt Richards for Zancho Simsport just able to hang on at the moment. Cross just trying to figure a way round. At the moment, though, Cross can't take any major risk because directly behind him is Herlock.
Yeah, this is just amazing defence by Matt Richards. He's trying to give each other millimetres.
He's not going to be there, surely he's not. They are going to be side by side off of Brooklyn's corner. Matt Richards with the momentum around the outside, though, should be able to hang on. Is Herlock going to take advantage of this? Rob Cross going to try and pick it up for a cutback, but holds second position. Good attempt. Good attempt.
He just needs to get a tiny bit further alongside, as Matt Richards here is actually defending down into Copse Corner, turn number 1 of the track, as we head to just 4 minutes to go in this race.
God, imagine if Jack Keithley was here and Phil Rose, the top 2 who qualified, weren't able to take part. They're busy elsewhere in sim racing at the moment. How good it would have been to see Jack Keithley regarded fairly widely as Britain's best in RaceRoom at the moment, and across sim racing in general is an absolute beast of a driver. Hopefully we can see him at least in one round in the future. At the moment, though, we have got some fantastic action. 7th position here, Glenn Richardson going to try and figure his way around Abraham, but maybe not so much into Brooklands. Shepherd's also not able to get past Herlock either.
These guys going too wide.
Oh, his Webb.
Contact
there. Contact there. Webb getting down the inside as Richardson round wide, carrying the momentum of the corner, though. Could the Alpha hang on? No. No, it does not.
Yeah, that's what happens when you get hung out to dry, either by yourself or by someone else in that final corner. And that could be a point to look out for on the very final lap of the race, as that could be well, it is the last overtaking opportunity, really, and then that could give you a run to the line, as we only have probably 3 laps to go in this race.
Yeah, we're talking tiny laps. It should be, when we did the maths, it should be a 21-lap race with tyres. As much as tyre wear is on in this category, it's not really much of an issue. It shouldn't cause any real problems. Currently looking at this about 15th position, Bo Dixon leading Foyle, Walker, Webster as well. Webster being that Honda, just hanging on to the back of this, going to try and move his way up. A little bit further up the order. Oh, Matt Richards once again just having to really work for this lead. Rob Cross is making Matt Richards race for that paycheck at Zancho. That is absolutely for sure. Going to stick it round the outside. Lincoln Co. 1-2 side by side off the corner. I believe it should be advantage Richards, but not by much.
Now that is amazing. Matt Richards has
shot.
defended both on the outside and on the inside in Brooklyn's corner, so he's doing such a good job, but he's gone quite slow actually in turn number 1, and this could give Cross a really good run down. But he has to be careful where he overtakes, because Herlock and Shepherd are sitting right there as well, so he needs to make sure he's making this move in the absolute perfect time as I come through Maggots again onto the Wellington straight.
Who was that going side by side? Abraham, maybe on the inside of Richard Meyer? It was, yeah, I think it was. Here comes Webb, though, to the outside of Richardson. Doesn't hang on to that. For Matt Richards, if I was him, I'd kind of want Cross there in second place. Not necessarily because he's made a few attempts, but Rob Cross is more of like an unknown quantity. He kind of is figuring out what's happening with Rob Cross. Herlock and Shepherd are 2 extremely aggressive drivers, and if they're there, they will go for a move on the final lap. Absolutely. Dan Cammish, 13th position at the moment, just outside of that top 10 reverse grid, staring down the barrel of maybe a 12th place finish if he can catch JJ again. How is it for these drivers who are getting to race with, Daniel Miles, the one directly behind at the moment, racing with some of British touring cars best? Oh,
such a good opportunity, isn't it? For it's also great that these invitational drivers are showing up to these events. Absolutely amazing that they want to come and participate and help out. As we actually got some Bassing here now for that's a 5th position. Miles and Abraham, I think that is, goes side by side as they come down onto the Wellington straight again.
That is interesting what Richards did there. Did you see that? He did not. He built up enough of a gap that he just pulled over to the right-hand side and was like, you can defend from Herlock now, mate. I don't need to give you slipstream. I'm running away with this.
So we've only got 20 seconds left of the race.
Final lap of the race. Matt Richards currently leading. Pulling Rob Cross. Currently a Lincoln Co. 1-2. What does Herlock have to say about that? What does Shepherd have to say about that? One more attempt, each corner, a dying opportunity. Look at that speed through T1 from Rob Cross. Oh, a little bit too wide, pushing the very limit of the circuit. Oh, it's close. It is close. He's going to pick the outside, going down to Maggots and Beckett's. He's going to try and hang it round the outside. I think advantage this way. He's going to head the way of Richards once again. He's going to hold it to the left-hand side of the road and make Rob Cross do all of the work. What is going to happen here? One final time into Brooklands. Matt Richards for Zancho Simsport. Just going to hold that inside, bit over the curb. I think he's in a good position here unless there's contact. Herlock's going to pick the outside off of the final corner. It is. It should be, unless there is a monstrous slipstream towards the line. It does look very much certain that the first race of the British RaceRoom Championships Touring Car Challenge goes the way of Matt Richards, Rob Cross, Dan Herlock, Chris Shepherd, Miles, Abraham, Richardson, Matt Webb, the entire grid. What a show for our first ever race. Madness.
Yeah, that was a really hectic race, has to be said, and I believe it's Dan Kell who got 10th position there, so he will be our pole position sitter for the next race as well. And as we said, that top 10 will literally just be reversed, so unfortunately I believe it's David Carter in 11th who will be starting in 11th place again, and that is just how close it gets there. But what a hectic race that was, and I'm sure we're going to get 2 more races just like that.
Well, hopefully then, before we get to that, we're just going to take a little bit of a break, and then we'll be back for that second race. We are right ready to go again. It is Dan Kell on the pole. Another Zansho car going to lead the way from Alex Everett. We are straight underway here for race 2 of the day. Oh, it's a good start from Matt Webb in the background, who's going to try and get up into second position. This is happening thick and fast. Dan Kell holds the lead. Alex Everett is going to hold on to second position. Matt Webb, for that Alpha, got a bit feisty on the start. Rich Miles as well. Just behind that. That was a bit mad. Glenn Richardson has moved up the order into 4th place. Not sure what the steward's decision there. I think it was a drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit lane on the race start. Look at that. Look at that lead though for Dan Kell, who's just taken off 3 wide in the background. Glenn Richardson, Matt Webb, Rich Miles. Oh, they're going to slot back into line. I think whilst this has happened as well, Dan Herlock and that lot. Matt Richards is already up into 7th position, taking advantage of this crazy start. But, whoa, they're all running wide at Brooklands. They are all running wide at Brooklands. 3 wide into Luffield. Absolute madness. Glenn Richardson is going to hang on. Whilst this is going on, oh, Matt Webb wide, down to 7th now. Oh, that's not very good. Dan Calvo, he's run. He's gone. He's already got a second lead at the end of the first lap, Cam.
Yeah, this is amazing. It's crazy how they just jumped straight into the next race. You just got to get your mind reset straight away and get yourself calmed down if you got yourself a bit worked up in that first race. But what a start there from Glenn Richardson getting up. Matt Webb got sent out to dry a little bit there on the first lap. It was looking good in the first couple of sectors, but not quite so good as we got into sector 3. And once again, this is going to be a massive pack. Oh, who's that? Glenn Richardson. Has that gone wide?
Wide, yeah. Alex Everett taking advantage of this. Look at this, though. Race winner of race 1, Matt Richards, up into 3rd position after 1.5 laps. A little bit of contact there with Richardson. Richards now going to pick the outside of Brooklands corner in that blue Lincoln Go. Going to try and hang it around the outside. A little bit of contact there. Oh, swiping straight down the inside with a beauty of a move comes Rich Miles, and he takes 3rd position. This is madness.
That was amazing. He just saw the position, just sent his car straight into there, and he managed to make it work. So really opportunistic, but that is what you've got to be in these really tight touring car races. And Dan Kell's lead is looking pretty good for the moment as well. So if he keeps that clean, it looks like he's going to be pretty good. But now got 4th and 5th coming side by side into Cops Corner. Matt Richards going side by side with
Richardson.
Yeah, Richardson. Same name.
Yeah, it's a little confusing, that one. It's all good. But Matt Richards, though, I think he's going to grab 4th position here, heading down to Maggots. Oh, he's going to maybe take a little bit of a bump from Abraham in the background, but around the outside, he is going to take that 4th position. And this time, it looks a bit more secure and nailed on for Matt Richards. Here's Chris Shepherd a little bit further back in the pack in 6th place, staring at the back of him. He's got a lot going on. Dan Cammish ran off for a little bit of a drink between the races. That was a brave move, probably the bravest move he's done all day, running for that drink, because it's straight into the second race. Always copped a bit of a whack there into Luffield.
Oh yeah, tons of a bit more contact here that we saw on the opening couple laps of the first race, but that's sometimes what you have to do. You've got to be really aggressive to try and make every single position count. And remember, again, there's going to be another reverse after this, so that 10th place is the all-important position to look out for again.
Yeah, it does mean that people like Matt Richards, who have worked their way up the order before, have to do it all over again. come the 3rd race rather. Bo Dixon, 16th position. Still not so great. Oh, a disqualification heads the way of Adam Collenbaugh. Speeding in the pit lane for him, and didn't serve the penalty soon enough, apparently. Is where I think that goes. But a 3 wide.
Yeah, the stewards always come down on you hard if you disrespect the penalties.
I'm sure you've done that in your time, Cam. Not disrespected the race. I mean, giving someone a big penalty for disrespecting. That's what I mean.
Oh yeah, it's always good fun.
Adam Clark here, 20th position at the moment with Jacob Reed. A little bit of contact there with Mike Smith just ahead of this, 3 wide off of Luffield, and that position goes the way of Jacob Reed on the inside in that Audi. Good work.
Yeah, there's not many there's not many types of racing where you can say you're 3 wide in Luffield as well. That's absolutely amazing as they come onto the start finish straight again into Cops Corner, and even though this is only for 19th place, they are battling so hard.
Dan Kell, though, meanwhile, nearly 5 minutes into the race, he's run away. He's got a second lead. It is dropping a little bit back to Alex Everett. This is Dan Kell's, if I'm pretty sure I'm correct on this one, Rob Cross is down in 10th position. For Dan Kell, I think it's his first race in RaceRoom. So, not a bad event thus far for the Englishman. Another Zansho Simsport driver, Rob Cross, staring down the inside of a 9th position. That one's Dan Herlock, who's not made any progress. I would have suspected Herlock would have made a bit more from that. Would have followed Richards, because obviously he's quite an aggressive driver. Finished second to me in a championship once, though, so joke's on you. I oh, a bit of a lag there from Rich. Just a bit of a...
Yeah, but he's still going there in fourth position.
He's still good, yeah, he's still strong.
So he made quite a bit of progress in that opening lap, but obviously that's where it's really tight, and he sort of calmed down a little bit as we saw, and this is where you've got to make every car length count as they come down to Maggots. This is the real important corner to get your exit onto that back straight, and we got Richardson in the background there going a little bit deep, so I think it's actually dropped a little bit of a gap there. We've now got Herlock in ninth position with Rob Cross going side by side. And I should say Herlock hasn't made quite the progress you would expect him, but Matt Richards obviously saw a couple of gaps and sent them on that first lap. So can Rob Cross get down the inside of Dan Herlock here into Brooklands? He's got in his car in a good position. He's managed to make that work on the brakes too, so nice easy move there.
Good stuff, good stuff. I don't think Herlock will be too bothered about that.
Shepard,
a bit of contact there from Webb. Yeah, absolutely. That Alpha getting a bit feisty once again. Abraham now down the inside of him, but it's not going to hold off of Luffield. Feisty contact happening back here in the midpoints of the top 10. Of course, these positions are so crucial, not only for the points. Points go down to the 15th position in this championship. Of course, the prize as well, a Cobra seat from their signature range, a fantastic prize for that champion, and for that, every single point matters. And so you need to be taking advantage of those midpoints of the top 10. At the moment there, David Carter down in 12th position, scoring a few points from this. Maybe
Cammish
cops a little bit of a whack there from Dan Cammish.
Sends it down the inside of Maggots. Always the place we've seen people overtake today. They've usually waited till Wellington straight, but he saw absolutely no reason why not to at least put his car in a position to try and overtake down into Brooklands corner on this occasion. And he's now getting really close to another Lincoln Co car here as he comes into Luffield again.
Oh, Cammish Cam. Oh, just as he picks up a little bit of contact as well there. That is, I think it's JJ. Yeah, it is JJ, who's just on the outside of Cammish. You've got Carter ahead of this, and Herlock, a good friend of his, and actually one of the people that Carter's been a bit of a figure for Herlock, trying to move him forward in sim racing. A bit of a separation between the two, though, in this race. Staring backwards from Carter.
Someone went really wide.
That was Cammish.
As you're pushing the limit, they do have to be careful doing that too often or too extreme. As there's cars just behind them going side by side as well. I think it's Foyle and
three wide.
JJ.
Three wide here. We've got JJ Webster and I think it's Miles as well is the other one. It is Daniel Miles. Making it a bit three wide. JJ drops a position to William Foyle. Josh Webster as well. Oh, he dives back down the inside. Going to go straight on at Brooklands. A bit of a contact there between Webster and Foyle. A bit further contact between Foyle and JJ, and they drop down plenty of positions in all of that. Jacob Reed now down the inside. Slots that one. Makes it three wide. Gains a couple of places. That was absolute madness.
That's the first time we've seen a proper bit of contact between multiple drivers. They've kept it fairly clean through the first 1.5 races, but that's what happens when you start getting a little bit hectic and you see a place and you just got to put your car into it. But everyone seems to be going pretty good. Oh, who's that 50 place going all the way off? JJ. Going all the way off in Cox corner there. As they come down into to Maggots corner. We've got a bit of battling here. Rob Cross and is that Dan Herlock.
Abraham actually.
As well. Oh, Abraham. Oh, he's
made up another one. He's up to 8th now and picking up the slipstream of Matt Webb as well. So a couple of gains here for Rob Cross. Put on such a good display in that first race, in that battle, that race-long battle with Matt Richards. Just couldn't make anything work. Oh,
Herlock giving a massive bump there.
I told you he was aggressive. He gave it a good go there. Look at this in the background though, because look at that. Carter and Cammish are both closing in on this whilst they're all fighting, and that could be good for them. It's the back end of the top 10 on board with Dan Cammish. That could be very, very important. A reverse grid pole again for race 3 goes the way of 10th place. So it is mighty, mighty important. Just as a bit of an update on what's happening in the lead, the gap between Kell and Everett is coming down ever so slightly, but not too much. Here we have Matt Richards, who might be able to gain himself third position as Rich Miles runs a touch wide, a touch of contact between the two. He's now going to be on the outside heading up towards Brooklands corner. I know for Dan Kell, he will want Matt Richards to move up a couple of spots. Of course, his teammate, a rear gunner in this kind of racing, will be so crucial. Matt Richards is not going to be able to make that move stick though. Alex Everett has run off to try and search for the back. He's going to stick it around the outside. Further contact between the two. Rich Miles getting a bit feisty there.
And Richardson's just been pushed out wide. I believe that's Chris Shepherd now coming side by side as well for 5th position.
Oh, he's run wide by himself.
Yeah, so Shepherd's got that done, and that's what happens when you run wide in nothing.
Oh, it's coming down so much between the top two. A lot of pressure heads the way of Dan Kell. Of course, he's well experienced in touring cars as well, although he does have his note on Discord is always finishes second. And that's because he literally in every championship that we've raced, he's never won anything. He only finishes second, and that's in real life as well because he takes part in the Northern Saloon Car Championship. Oh, bit of contact there between Matt Webb and Rob Cross. Matt Webb dived it a little bit down the inside of Richardson. That was maybe through a touch of contact that gave him an extra speed boost into the corner.
Yeah, I think he was helped on his way there, going down into Maggots corner on the right hand onto Wellington Straight. Now is side by side. We got here Matt Richards, and he's made a bit of contact, but I think he's finally making his move stick here for 3rd position, although they're going to come back side by side through Luffield corner. We know the outside is not always the best place to be, as now
but if he can hang it
behind them is coming as well.
If he can hang it there, it might give him an advantage. We've seen Matt Richards sticking it around the outside of Cops corner as well. That was a bold move, pretty aggressive on the form of the Welshman. Matt Richards now trying to figure his way, going to look down the inside, doesn't pick his spot this time. Whilst this has gone on, Alex Everett has run off from this pack. You can see him and Dan Kell in the distance. 5 minutes, oh sorry, 8 minutes, I can see. 8 minutes to go of this race, so plenty of pressure here. We've got Matt Webb sticking around the outside of Rob Cross down the inside again. So Matt Webb then just able to hang on to 7th. He got assisted into that attempt on Glenn Richardson. I think that's the way of thinking about it, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Everett, though, is going to be looking for the lead very soon. He's caught right up to the back of Kell, as we've been mentioning, and now he is there. He's going to be battling Kell. So Kell's lead has gone all the way down. But can he defend like Matt Richards did for the whole of the first race? Although the battle for the final podium position is looking pretty hot as well. About 4 or 5 drivers in the direct contention for that.
Oh, Cross is through there on Webb. So that is a change of position. So Rob Cross moves up yet another position. A bit of a flash of the lights, though, goes the way of Matty Webb. So maybe not particularly happy at the prospect of being passed. Maybe in his eyes, a bit unfairly. There's Dan Herlock, 8th position at the moment for him. Who's that dropping down the order? It's Matt Webb pulling off.
Yeah, he's obviously had some sort of issue coming out of turn number 1, looking to be quite slow. I wonder what that could be, but yeah, he's really dropped down into 20th position at the moment in the sole Alfa Romeo on the grid. But now we need to see what can happen here for the lead of the race. Everett's now coming onto the back of Dan Kell, but once again can't quite get close enough. I think you're right saying that the Lincoln Co is looking pretty good in terms of its straight line speed and its ultimate top end speed, but the VW is also looking pretty good in the hands of Everett as they come onto the start finish straight to have 7 minutes to go of the race.
Indeed. Dan Kell desperately trying to hang on at the moment. Here comes Alex Everett. The thing is with Kell, always a little bit too hot there into Cobb's corner. Surely Everett's going to have a look down the inside, maybe outside of Maggot. So I think he's going to give it a good go. He's slipstreaming past and alongside Dan Kell, the young Englishman. Going to try and stick it round the outside. Oh, it's going to be a brave move if he can make this one stick. A bit of contact between the two. Dan Kell is a very good defender, pretty experienced in sim racing himself. Like I said, he takes part in the Northern Saloon Car Championship in a Ford Sierra. So you know he's got a fair bit of racing in his blood. Much help from his dad, Stephen Kell. Shout out to you. Good lad as well. Calamity Motorsport, of course. Dan Kell now drives for Zanshow, same team that Matt Richards is a part of. Alex Everett just not able to get by at the moment.
Yeah, he's just sitting there. He isn't quite making anything happen, as we see Foyle now 17th place, going side by side with Walker as they come out of the final corner. And once again, a couple of battles going down even further down the grid, because you know they need to try and get as high up as you can.
Yeah, Cammish in that 10th position now, ready and willing to go for that reverse grid pole. Whilst all of that was happening, David Carter moved up into 10th position. So I think Abraham and Webb must have come together. Here's Richards now down the inside, committed and past Miles. That was a good move. That was bold. That was important. Here's Glenn Richardson, back end of the top 10. So Carter's moved up a position, same as with Herlock, assuming there's been something going on there, down into Maggot. So a fresh position for that lot. They're all within that reverse grid spot. Dan Kell, the Zanshow still leading the way, trying to stick it around the outside. Goes Rich Miles into Brooklands, but this time Matt Richards says that position, good sir, goes the way of me. thank you very much. 1.7 seconds off of the race lead, coming into the final 5 minutes of the race. Here's Herlock battling away with Rob Cross as well. Like I said before, David Carter, good friends. Dan Herlock, David Carter, those two now going to be locked together. I'm sure this will be Carter's first time to actually race Dan Herlock. But nevertheless, I'm sure he's not nervous, even remotely. Cammish Cam. This is staring at the back of the Honda of Glenn Richardson. You do a whoa! That was accidental. He did not mean that.
Where did that come from? That was
Concertina
out
effect.
of nowhere. As he managed to get past there for the 9th position, but yeah, that was just crazy how he managed to get past him. Richardson, yeah, now down into 10th position. That final reverse place, which could be pole position if he can stay there.
I know Dan Cowell driving here with Alex Everett. Matt Richards is eyeing this up and is catching their team boss, Ed Terrell-Johnson, will definitely be watching this. So I'm sure he's got his eye on what's happening here over in RaceRoom, their first real competition. And Alex Everett, desperate to find a way by, desperate to figure out how he can get that VW up into the lead of this race. An important victory for him. I bet their hearts are pumping. It is intense. Miles and Richards has also switched. Yeah, he is down the inside. Dan Cowell's going to go for a cutback. Oh, is it going to be timed beautifully? He is there. I'm not sure if it was timed quite as perfectly as we wanted. They did switch back Richards and Miles as well, so it's back up to Richards in 3rd position. He's now sticking to the outside for that race lead. Dan Cowell. Oh, it's going to be tight. He's going to have to be very committed on the brakes. Is he going to go for another cutback? Is he going to try and stick it all the way around the outside of Brooklands? It is all the way around the outside of Brooklands. That is pretty brave. He's got the inside for Lovefield. Everett's going to try and hang it around the outside of Lovefield this time, but it goes back the way of Dan Cowell. Matt Richards within a second of these two now. That was pretty intense.
Yeah, they're trying so hard for these positions, and as you say, Matt Richards is now getting right up onto the back of them, so all this battling is really losing the lead that these guys had. And maybe Matt Richards, if he's a bit fortunate, can actually try and go for the win, but it looks like Everett's now going to be going down the inside again. Oh no, not quite on this occasion. So he's going to go wide, gets that front end in nice and early, get a good exit, and see if he can finally make this move on Kel as we come to only having, I think there'll be 3 laps to go at the end of this one.
Correct, Mundo. Matt Richards on board with. Miles still within touching distance behind him, but not quite close enough. Trying to stick it around the outside this time. Does Everett go on Dan Cowell, but not able to stick it. Of course, these drivers now, this is a bit of a note for those of you sat at home, if they wanted to switch between cars, between this round and next round, tough, they can't. The cars that they are in now are locked in. Those are the cars for the 3 rounds. That is the choice they made, and thus they are stuck with those choices. So pretty important stuff. A little bit of a lag there for Matt Richards. The Welsh internet dropping out on him. It was last night, that's for sure. Couldn't hold a stable connection for his life. Good Matt Richards. Good friend Dan Kelbo's leading the way. Alex Everett leading Richards, Miles, Shepherd, Cross, Herlock, Carter, Cammish and Richardson. That top 10 that will be reversed in only 1 minute and 40 seconds. There's Cammish. What a job he has done. He is in reverse grid. It could, I mean, touch wood, could a race win go the way of Cammish. Oh, down the inside goes Matt Richards. That was committed. That was brave. Oh, what got that? That was a solid move. Now, what does he do with his teammate? What does he do with Dan Kell? Alex Everett now under pressure from Rich Miles as well. He's not going to drop that position, so he is going to hang on to a podium place at the moment. Shepherd behind, desperate to get his way onto the podium in the inaugural round of the British RaceRoom Championships Touring Car Challenge.
This is absolutely great racing. Matt Richards has the chance here to win both of the first 2 races, despite starting from the
easy going for it. He is going for it. These two will definitely be talking to each other. Is he going to try and stick it down the inside? He's going to try and lunge it short. That's a bit too late on the brakes. Is Dan Cowell going to let him do it? I think he is. I think it could be a race lead change. Goes the way of Matt Richards, potentially with 2 laps, well, 1 and a bit laps to go here. How does Dan Cowell do here? It's such a big moment for the team. Lincoln Co 1-2 once again. Just 2 different drivers. Well, 1 different driver anyway. Staring back down the inside. Not going to be able to make that one stick. Comes towards the line. 1 lap to go. Alex Everett still sniffs an opportunity for victory this afternoon. Where's he going to pick his chance? It is brave stuff out there. Cammish still hanging on to 9th position. Glenn Richardson directly behind in that top 10 reverse grid spot. Just behind that is JJ, who's desperate to move his way into the final reverse grid of the afternoon. Alex Everett. Oh, I think that race leader's gone. I think Matt Richards has bolted. And Dan Kell going to be able to maybe hang on to 2nd position.
The final lap times. This is the last pretty much good opportunity down here into Brooklyn that these drivers need to make, as they will have no basically 2 corners to go to make a move stick. And is Everett going to look down the inside? He's thinking about it, but he's not quite close enough. So can he get down the inside of Luffield? No, he can't. So I think that's going to be 3rd place for him at this moment, unless there's a mistake on the final corner.
Doesn't look like it. So this is it then. Out of the final corner, back to back, goes Matt Richards from 10th on the grid all the way up to the lead. A brilliantly decisive race from Matt Richards. Zansho 1-2. Fantastic work for them, as Dan Kell going to fulfill his promise and take 2nd position. Everett, Shepherd, Miles, Rich Miles that is, Rob Cross, Herlock, Carter, Cammish and Richardson round out the top 10, and that 10 are going to be reversed. So it is going to be Richardson on pole, a front row for Dan Cammish.
And remember how good Richardson's start was in this race as well. So he could be looking good to lead as we head to towards the end of the lap 1 as well.
This is going to be spicy, Cam. This is going to be spicy. One more race this afternoon before we wrap up the day's action, and then we'll get ready. Of course, in a week's time we are back. We're at Brands Indy, and I'm sure if this is anything to go by, Cam, it's going to be absolutely mad there.
Yeah, Brands Indy is a track just like this, where it's basically 4 proper corners, so the racing is going to be absolutely insane there as well, as we see a confirmation of the results here on the screen.
KW, für jeden Anspruch das richtige Fahrwerk.
Right, preparing ourselves then for the 3rd and final race. That front row is pretty impressive. Glenn Richardson and Dan Cammish. There's Dan Cam. Cammish Cam.
I wonder who thought of that title.
Yeah, I mean, that's not me actually. I'm genuinely a bit embarrassed, but that's obviously Rob. He's a smart man. It's all good. Either way, one final race of the afternoon. Who is going to lead us into turn 1? We've got a Honda, we've got a Lincoln Co as well. Glenn Richardson on the pole position. Whose hearts are going to be racing more? Probably not Dan's. Dan Cammish probably going to be pretty calm. The race is underway though, and Glenn Richardson, I think, has got a very nice launch, like you said he would, going down towards turn 1. I think it's Carter who's had a really mare of the start, and he's already dropped back into 6th place, 5th place at the moment. It's Herlock who's gained up into 3rd at present. Dan Cammish now applying the pressure straight away. The top 2 have run away clear. That's Herlock in the Hyundai behind. Oh, Glenn Richardson's run wide.
Again.
He's just, same as he did last race. The pressure's got to him. Dan Cammish now takes the lead. Rob Cross now gets up into 2nd position, looking for a victory this afternoon. Glenn Richardson and Dan Herlock, a little bit of side-by-side contact, making it 3 wide. Comes Rich Miles down the inside into Brooklyn's a further contact, further 3 wide. Oh, a little bit of a slide. All of them catch though. That is a good move from Herlock if he can stick it around the outside. Rich Miles though gains 2 positions heading into Luffield. Look at how much they all fan out going into that corner, trying to gain the momentum around the outside, the traction, the bonus around there, picking a bit of a slipstream as well. Is that Matt Richards making his way up into 8th position, trying to slot it around the outside of Everett as well? I believe so. Dan Cammish though, end of lap 1, from 2nd on the grid, up into the race lead, and it is once again a Lincoln Co 1-2.
Yeah, Lincoln Co's looking really good here at Silverstone. So I'd see if that works its way through Brands Indy as well next week. But for now, it's Dan Cammish who's leading the way from, I should say, starting from that 2nd position. But we've got some battling here for 5th position.
Carter.
Carter coming through, and I think that's Miles involved as well.
This is brave stuff. Carter then moves his way back up into 4th position. Now he's going to have to make a move on his good friend Dan Hurlock. Glenn Richardson we see now, as Carter's been bombed there by Rich Miles into Brooklands corner. Further contact there. That's Glenn Richardson and Alex Everett on board with Carter looking backwards. We can still see that battle side by side of the corner. Glenn Richardson not happy about how he asserted his way to down to 6th position from that pole position. I've been there, done that. Rob was there when we were racing back in Alton Park a good few years ago, and I decided it was a good idea to go straight on from pole position and just absolutely lose everything that I wanted. Fantastic work. Either way, focusing on the here and now, and it is going to be Cammish leading, still side by side. Everett Rich is getting involved, a little bit of contact there between himself and Alex Everett. Now going to try and slot it down the inside. Further contact, that was a bit dicey, that was a bit dodgy there from Richardson. Not really giving the room into Maggots and Beckett.
I thought that was going to be a massive spin there, but he managed to save it, did Everett, which is very good for him. But Matt Richards is now into 8th position, and need to see if he can do another race where he can make it from the back.
Cross has got into the lead then. So Rob Cross, after being denied the entire race, a full race battle between himself and Matt Richards in race 1. In this race, though, straight up into the race lead with 2-3 laps on the board. Dan Cammish relinquishing that lead pretty quickly. I would still suspect that Cammish will come back here, come to the end of the race, good sir. Or committed through T1, though. That might be a touch too quick.
We actually managed to keep it on the track limits.
Good shout.
So yeah, pretty good. Absolutely sent it into turn number 1. So that just shows you he is trying. He is not giving up on this race victory. Obviously, this reverse grid is always good, helping get some other people towards the front of the grid. And as we said, every point counts. Top 15 get points, 25 points for the win, going all the way down to 1 point for 15th place. So plenty to fight for, even if you're a bit lower down. But it's always good when you have the reverse grid to give a driver such as Cammish the chance to get a victory here.
Yeah, this is the thing that I've absolutely loved about sim racing. Of course, everything that's happening in the world with the coronavirus, etc., is not really the greatest thing in the world, but it has given us all these pros coming into sim racing. And the thing that I absolutely love about this is not only have they all joined in the sim racing community, they've also shown respect and like the things we would expect them to do. Obviously, previously when they kind of took part, respectfully to them, they got a little bit dirty. And real racing drivers had a bit of a reputation online as not really taking it seriously. Josh Webster, another real driver, was trying to sneak it down the inside. Dan Hurlock's now up into 2nd. Oh, what's happened? Oh, no, it's back up to 3rd. It's fine, it's all good. Now he's staring down the inside. A bit of contact, though. And, yeah, it certainly is. A little bit of contact there heading into Maggots and Beckett. Further contact as Carter and Cammish come together. Not quite sure what happened there.
Yeah, it looks like there was a bit of contact coming to Maggots, which pushed Cammish wide. Unfortunately, lost a few positions on that occasion. I think there was 2 places. He's run wide here in Brooklands as well, so that's let the other Lincoln Co. quite see who that was get through there. And now he's looking at this is Richardson coming around the outside of him as well. So 3 places lost on this 1 lap for Cammish.
Yeah, that contact between himself and Hurlock a little bit interesting. So now the front row of the race when we started it. Only 5 minutes ago, are now down to 5th and 6th position. Glenn Richardson from the pole, and Dan Cammish from 2nd place, now running 5th and 6th. Oh, Cammish way off the road, keeps his foot into it as well. Pretty exciting, but nevertheless, it's a bit of a shame to see Dan Cammish drop down the order. Matt Richards has not been able to make the same level of progress in this race, just ahead of Chris Shepherd in that Lincoln Co. Chris Shepherd currently leading. JJ, who just missed out on that reverse grid. Dan Kell from 2nd. So he started the race from 9th, now down to 11th position on board with Chris Shepherd looking backwards as JJ's going to try and stick it around the outside of Brooklands corner and going to leave it down the inside of Luffield. Shepherd surely going to escort him out wide. Doesn't really need to. Now Dan Kell's going to try and slot his way through. Oh, that was opportunistic. And I think he may well have that one done.
Yeah, he had actually dropped out the top 10 there. So to get himself back in there, is doing a pretty decent job. But it seems, they haven't made such progress as we saw in the first race, at least for the people who started a bit further down due to the reverse grid. So it's good keeping it nice and competitive up the front.
Yeah, I'm sure his heart's not racing yet. Is Dan Cammish? Though actually, I did hear from some of real world drivers when they're taking part in some race, and their heart still really goes for it. So you never know. My heart always does. Every time we get onto the grid, I forget what I'm doing because my heart just goes out. He's rubbing a bit of sweat off his brow, though. I saw that. I saw that.
But that is the one part that no one often talks about in sim racing is it may not be the same in terms of how exactly the car reacts or that sort of stuff, but you've still got to put everything in. Oh, it's Richardson there trying to send up the inside of the final corner. But yeah, it really is very similar in sort of mentally and how you really have to concentrate and put everything into it. I mean, these drivers are right on the limit of what is capable of these cars.
Yeah, the physicality isn't there, but the mental capacity. It's why the best drivers in real world, when they come into sim racing, as long as they're set up correctly and have gotten used to the sim, they're still the same ice cold driver that you would suspect them to be. They're the same red hot driver in some cases that you would expect them to be. Bo Dixon down in 20th position. That is a shock to me. I would have expected in that first race for him to move forward. A bit of contact there as Smith runs into the back of him. I would have expected Dixon to have run up the order a bit. I don't know what's going on here with Bo Dixon.
Yeah, he's been down the back a little bit over the course of the 3 races, and obviously couldn't get himself in a position to be benefited from the reverse grid either. So yeah, not quite the day for him, but he still has 6 more races left of the championship. And someone's gone off
Dan
there.
Kell. Dan Kell off at, is that Cops? No, it's Brooklands Corner. Must have been spun on the way into it. Unfortunately, we can't grab a replay of that, but nevertheless, from second place in the previous race down to 22nd now. I'm sure he'll keep going to bring it to the checkered flag. Josh Webster, who's this? Is he staring down the inside? Jacob Reed. Oh no, it wasn't quite close enough. It's defending from JJ. And doing a fine job of it as well, going through Cops Corner. Carried a decent amount of speed. Could be eyeing up a top 10. Unfortunately, the race where the top 10 doesn't reverse you onto pole. If you get top 10, that's kind of like, oh, for God's sake.
Yeah. As you know, got Matt Richards still in 8th position, so hasn't been able to make his way up. He's still got Everett in front of him. They've been here for the last sort of 5-6 laps. As he get a good slipstream, can he dive down the inside on Brooklands Corner? Yes, he is, but he's going to have to, as we know, try and hold it then around the outside of Luffield. Bit of contact there, but he's now going to be on the outside. What is he going to do? Is he going to try and cut it back? No, he's going to try and keep it around the outside. So this could be a really good move if he can make it work. But I think he's actually lost the track position there. Yeah, couldn't quite keep enough speed around that final corner.
It's quite easy to defend the cutback through that corner. Just, sorry, I'm sorry for not noticing before, but Jacob Reed is in 10th place, which is very high in comparison to where he started. I'm pretty sure he started around 16th, 17th position. He is doing a fantastic job here, running wide though at turn 1. So that is the curse of the commentator.
Yeah, really fantastic job right there.
Don't start, Cam. Don't start.
Well, yeah, either way, 11th position is still pretty good. But yeah, he was down in. He was definitely in about 20th position at one point in one of the previous races, so he's done well to get himself back up there. As you now see Daniel Miles, 13th position, just pulling back into the slipstream from JJ. And behind them is William Foyle as well. They're just behind them. There's a couple of cars battling as we come down into Brooklands Corner. But oh no, we've got to look further up the
Richardson and Cammish again.
Yeah, Cammish. Yeah, he's dropped down a little, as we said, from that lap where he lost 3 places, but still battling well for 5th position with Richardson at the moment.
Yeah, he's done solid work there as Dan Cammish to at least keep on. Obviously, the drop down of the 3 positions hasn't really gone to his head. He's like, no, I'm still in this race. Let's round this up and get going. Runs wide at Cops Corner. That's going to open the door to the inside for Glenn Richardson. And Dan Cammish, I think, no, he's going to still hang on to 5th position. So well done to him. I noticed as well, Carter and Miles have dropped off the back of Herlock and Cross, who are both kind of going 2 by 2 at the top end of the field at the moment. And at the moment, it looks hard. Cammish is gapped a little bit. Oh, down the inside, David Carter. Maybe a bit rusty on racecraft. He's not raced too much over the last few years, but definitely showing the pace, showing the ability that we know that David Carter's got. Run wide in the foreground as well was Herlock through Luffield. Oh,
3 wide in the final corner. Matt Richards there, getting very close with Everett. He's managed to get past Everett actually, hasn't he? And then also is that Richardson he's got past. This is a double overtake from Matt Richards if he can complete this. Coming down into turn number 1. Let's see what happens. Almost 3 wide. Richardson's going to hold it around the outside. Really quick on the outside. Oh. Awesome defence there. Matt Richards might go a little bit slow actually as Everett comes back. But he's going to have to go round the outside of Maggotts Corner, which will give him actually quite a good exit if he does it right for the Wellington straight. But no, he's actually trying to cut in and get the place before the straight. This is really good racing here from these drivers. They come onto the Wellington straight side by side here for Matt Richards and Everett. Let's see what they can do as they come down. No slipstream for these drivers. This is just the top speed of each of their cars, but who is going to be bigger on the brakes. Matt Richards just behind and the outside is not always the best place to go, but he's going to try. Everett defends really well, so Matt Richards is really being worked hard here for 7th place. So not only did he not get 6th, but he might not even get 7th place here.
Yeah, that double overtake didn't really work out too long for him. Of course, brake pedal wise, just as a little bit of a thing for Matt Richards. I'm not trying to defend him or anything. We've got Cammish Cam here once again, as he's now staring to the back of the top 4, so definitely getting very much back into this. But with Matt Richards, Fanatec DD1, new stuff for him, new pedals as well. Still getting used to that brake pedal. He's had a bit of help from ex-BTCC driver Mike Epps, who's good friends on that side of things. Trying to get a bit of help and trying to get used to it, but of course he's only really had it for a week. So to start the round with 2 wins, I think he'll take that, and whatever from this race, I'm sure it'll be good. Definite championship leader. I'll give him that.
Yeah, it's been a very good round indeed. There's still 7 minutes to go of this race. Plenty of time to lose or gain opportunity positions. And now David Carter there in 4th position, defending. Who's that? He's actually Cammish. Actually, sorry, that's Cammish behind. We're looking behind from David Carter, getting past Richardson. So yeah, both in the Lincoln Co car, same livery. But yeah, that is Cammish now 5th position, and yeah, doing pretty well.
Yeah, I believe Carter's in the 68. It doesn't help they're both blue and yellow, but Carter's in the 68 and Cammish is in the 111. At the moment, Rob Cross then now picking up the pressure from the Hyundai of Dan Herlock. Decided to take Nicky. I was speaking to Herlock and he was like, oh, I'd love the 88. So there you go. Highest qualified to pick a Hyundai. You can have Nicky Katzberg's car.
Yeah, these top two have got that gap, haven't they? So it looks like this is going to be the battle for the race victory. But we did see in the last race, as soon as these leaders start battling, it allows the lower drivers to start catching up onto them, as we now have Richardson trying to come round the outside of Cammish here in Brooklands Corner. We know how difficult that is to hold it all the way around the outside, but he's just about got his nose there. But he couldn't quite keep it on this occasion, but he's actually managed to get his nose again. So if he gets a good exit, this could be on the inside for turn number 1. As Cammish is still looking pretty good there on the outside. As I come towards turn 1 again, who is going to come out on top on this occasion? Looks like Dan Cammish holds it around the outside. Richardson's going to be really aggressive here, trying to keep it there, trying to get him offline to make him slower out of the corner. And for 3/4 of a lap, they've been battling, but he still couldn't quite make it work on this occasion.
Absolutely, good effort from Dan Cammish. You'll see again. You can see him on the right-hand side. That's driving from Brands Hatch at the moment. The RaceRoom Cafe down there. Actually, no, they're at the RaceRoom HQ. It's okay. It's not the Brands one. They're not allowed to go there yet. But when that reopens, that'll be great. Seeing those lot at Brands. So you can come along. That's what this is all about. Having a bit of fun, having a bit of racing. We've also had splits as well. So don't forget to come and take part yourself. Get yourself on the leaderboard. Look at that. Oh, Richardson back down the inside. Wasn't able to stick it. Cammish hangs on.
And once again, Richards is trying to make an overtake work. Still in 7th position. He's been trying to get this 6th place for laps, but he hasn't quite been able to make it work. He's looking just on the outside. He's going to have to slow down a little bit there, and this could give Everett actually a chance to come back at him. Though we look at the leader, Rob Cross, still defending pretty well from Herlock. And once again, these drivers have that gap, so they can keep it pretty calm for now. Although we're going 3 wide here, coming out onto the Wellington straight. Everett managed to get past Matt Richards, as we suggested might happen.
Shep as well in that Audi, just trying to pick his way through all of this. I don't know really what happened there, but I would assume there was a touch of contact. Alex Everett took advantage of that. Richardson now going to drop down to 9th position, going to try and pick it down the inside. Bit of contact between himself and Chris Shepherd. Shepherd's going to grab 8th though. Richardson and all of that goes from 6th to 9th. Further positions dropped. Alex Everett is receiving a fair bit of Morse code from Matt Richards. A bit further down the order, Webster, JJ, Reed as well. I think Matt Webb getting himself involved just behind this. Daniel Miles instead of Rich Miles. Those lot all going hammer and tong at the back end of the points.
And remember that points go down to 15th place. So even though they might be a bit low down, they're going to be fighting for every single point that they can get. As during these 9 races of the season, they just want to get as many points as they can to try and win that prize from Cobra Motorsports. As we now got David Carter coming on the outside. He's switched to the inside, but I don't think he's got himself quite enough alongside. He's going to do quite big on the brakes if he's trying to make it work into Brooklands, and he can't quite on this occasion. But he's going to go around the outside. Actually, he's going to go around the outside of the final corner, get that switch back, but now he's gone far too wide there. Has lost his momentum. But
he's going to pick a nice
cutback
cutback though. He's going to get a nice cutback from that. He's going to pick the inside coming towards the line and towards Cop's corner as well. That could be a well-judged move from David Carter. Said he might be a bit rusty, but not showing any of that. At this point, drops back in line. It was close. It was a very good, bold effort from David Carter there, but just not quite enough. Picks the speed through Cop's corner. We've got to have 4 laps to go from here. So still plenty of opportunities to get himself up to the podium, but if he's not careful, Cammish, Everett, Richards, Shepherds, Richardson, all going to be closing in. Miles a little bit wide there off Maggots. Keeping it in the weeds there. Miles, though, on the inside towards Brooklyn's corner. I think he's going to be able to hang this one on the inside and keep that podium position at the moment, holding David Carter at bay. The top 2, like we said, have run away. The victory, unless something happens, is between one of those 2. It's Cross, it's Herlock. Which one, we do not know. We don't have long to find out, though. 3 laps to go.
Yeah,
can
they're
Carter
getting
find his
very
way
close
through?
here. Yeah, they're getting very close. They get their final opportunities in.
Here comes Carter. Carter's down the inside. Oh, backs out of it. Going to keep the foot in, though. That's a little bit too wide from Rich Miles. Maybe not picking up the correct line through Cop's corner there, as he had a David Carter-sized car on the inside. Oh, bit of contact. Careful, Carter. He's getting pushy. Is DC, a commentator himself. Carter's done a wondrous things for sim racing recently. Been a very busy boy himself. Cammish those closing, diving it. Oh, bit of contact. Now picks it up on the outside. It's maybe a little bit too aggressive. Bit of contact then from Cammish. He's going to try and force his way down the inside of David Carter. Not quite going to make it stick. They all stay line astern. I thought someone was going round in that. I genuinely did.
They've only got 2 laps to go now, so they know they've basically got 8 corners to try and make something work. And Dave Carter again's trying to look down the inside of turn 1, but not quite close enough. And this is giving Cammish quite a good opportunity to get side by side. This is that Everett trying to get involved, and Matt Richards. They've all concertinaed up as we come onto the final couple of laps of this race. Rob Cross still leading the way from Herlock. Herlock cannot quite get past. And now Cammish.
That was close.
Yeah, getting it quite close. Any of these drivers could finish on the final place on this podium if something happens, as we know Brooklyn's corner here. Best overtaking opportunity on the track. Who is going to make a dive down into Brooklyn's corner?
This is so good. It is so good to see these guys going, oh, Cammish now going to stare down the inside, not quite close enough. It's always good to see these drivers running in a line like this, then always trying to figure out into every corner. Every corner is an overtaking opportunity if you're brave enough, apparently. That's what I've been told anyway. Final lap of the race. Rob Cross still leads. Dan Herlock in second position. Like you said, absolutely nothing Herlock is able to do. He is throwing everything at this. Does he only need one opportunity? Where's he going to pick it? That Hyundai behind. Oh, which way is he going to go? Picking it to the inside. He's going to commit. Not quite close enough. Maybe going to go for a bit of a cutback. Couldn't really stick it around the outside there. Going to get it launched on the curbs, though. That's not good. That curb's a little bit steep. He's going to cut his speed down. Back of that battle for the 3rd place. Cammish on the right-hand side of your screen there. I don't think he's going to be able to do it. Oh, a bit of a slide there from Rob Cross. Not going to be enough. I think he's going to hang on. Luffield, final attempt, unless there is a monstrous drive off of that final corner. Rob Cross comes out of it. 3rd race of the evening here at Silverstone goes the way of Rob Cross. A great drive from him, a great battle between himself and Herlock, a valiant effort from Herlock, but not quite good enough. In the background, though, we're so close to the line, but it's going to go the way of Rich Miles. David Carter's going to grab 4th. A shame for him to miss out so close. Dan Cammish leading early on. Unfortunately, down to 5th position from him. Alex Everett, Chris Shepherd, Matt Richards, and Glenn Richardson, and then JJ rounding out the top 10. Oh, that was madness.
That was a manic three races here at the Silverstone National Circuit. We've still got 6 more races to come in the season. We've got Brands Indy and then also the Silverstone International Circuit as well, which is the other half of the Silverstone track that we will be for the series finale. But yeah, it looks like it's going to be really tight throughout all of these races. But it certainly seems maybe Matt Richards is the one to look out for this championship.
Well, if you want to come and take part yourself, hop online, hop on RaceRoom, go and download it from Steam and jump in and part of the community. Fastest lap goes the way of David Carr. That is my man. My man. That is a good effort from him. What a round. What 3 races. Again, that qualifier is open. I believe it closes in a couple of days at 8 o'clock. So make sure you're going. Try and grab yourself a place on the grid for round 2. I'd just like to say thank you from myself, Lewis McGlade, from Cam Roger, who's alongside me, and Rob Wiesemüller as well. Of course, massive thanks to Cobra Motorsport for helping us put on the first round here of the British RaceRoom Championship Touring Car Challenge. It has been a great event. Well, don't forget to join us in a week's time. Thank you very much for watching, and until then, goodbye.
KW, für jeden Anspruch das richtige Fahrwerk.